So silently I tied them up with rope, used by the giant Cyclops as a bed. I bound the rams in sets of 3, and set a man beside each middle sheep, with one on either side, and so my men were saved. One ram was best of all the flock. I grabbed his back and curled myself up underneath his furry belly, clinging to his fleece. By force of will, I kept on hanging there, and then we waited miserably for day. When early dawn revealed her rose-red hands, the rams jumped up, all eager for grass. The ewes were bleating in their pens, unmilked, their udders full to bursting. Though their master was weak and worn with pain, he felt the back of each ram as he lined them up, but missed the men tied up beneath their woolly bellies. Last of them all, the big ram went outside, heavy with wool, and myself, the clever trickster. We rode a short way from the cave. Then I first freed myself, and then untied my men. We stole his nice fat animals, and ran, constantly glancing all around and back until we reached the ship. The other men were glad to see us, their surviving friends, but wept for those who died. I ordered them to stop their crying, scowling hard at each. I made them shove the fleecy flock on board and row the boat out into salty water. So they embarked, sat on their rowing benches, and struck their oar blades into the whitening sea. When I had gone as far as shouts can carry, I jeered back, "Cyclops! Ha ha ha! You idiot! The crew trapped in your cave did not belong to some poor weakling." Well, you had it coming. You had no shame at eating your own guests, so Zeus and other gods have paid you back. My taunting made him angrier. He ripped a rock out of the hill and hurled it at us. It landed right in front of our dock prow and almost crushed the tip of the steering oar. The stone sank in the water. Waves surged up. I told my men, "Row fast to save your lives," and gestured with my head to make them hurry. They bent down to their oars and began rowing. We got out twice as far across the sea, then I called to him again. My crew begged me to stop and pleaded with me. "Please, calm down. Why are you being so insistent and taunting this wild man? He hurled that stone and drove our ship right back to land. We thought that we were going to die. If he had heard us, he would have hurled a jagged rock and crushed our heads and wooden ship. He throws so far." But my tough heart was not convinced. I was still furious, and shouted back again, Cyclops, if any mortal asks you how your eye was mutilated and made blind, say that Odysseus, the city sacker, Laertes' son who lives in Ithaca, destroyed your sight. He groaned. The prophecy! It has come true at last. There was a tall and handsome man named Telemus, the son of Eurymus, who lived among my people. He spent his life here soothsaying for us. He told me that Odysseus's hands would make me lose my sight. I always thought someone tall and handsome, strong and brave would come to me. But now this little weakling, this no one, has blinded me. By wine he got the best of me. Come on, Odysseus, and let me give you gifts, and ask Poseidon's help to get you home. I am his son. The god is proud to be my father. He will heal me if he wants, though no one else, nor god nor man, can do it. He prayed, holding his arms towards the starry sky. Listen to me, Earthshaker, blue-haired Lord Poseidon. Acknowledge me, your son, and be my father. Grant that Odysseus, the city sacker, will never return home. Or if it is fated that he will see his family, then let him get there late and with no honor, in pain and lacking ships, and having caused the death of all his men, and let him find more trouble in his own house. Blue Poseidon granted his son's prayer. Polyphemus raised a rock far bigger than the last, and swung. Then hurled it with immeasurable force. It fell a bit short outside our rudder, and splashed into the sea. The waves surged up and pushed the boat ahead to the other shore. We reached the island where our ships were docked. The men were sitting, waiting for us, weeping. We beached our ship and disembarked, then took the sheep that we had stolen from the Cyclops out of the ship's hold and shared them out fairly, so all the men got equal portions. But in dividing up the flock, my crew gave me alone the ram, the Cyclops' favorite. There on the shore I slaughtered him for Zeus, the son of Kronos, god of dark clouds, lord of all the world. I burned the thighs. The god ignored my offering and planned to ruin all of my ships and my loyal men. So, all day long till sunset we were sitting, feasting on meat and drinking sweet, strong wine. But when the sun went down and darkness fell, we went to sleep beside the breaking waves. Then we rose and saw the rose-fingered dawn come, bright and early. I roused my men and told them to embark and loose the cables. Quickly they obeyed, sat at the rowing benches all in order, and struck the grey salt water with their oars. So we sailed on, with sorrow in our hearts, glad to survive, but grieving for our friends. Book 10. We reach the floating isle of Aeolus, who is well loved by all the deathless gods. 12 children live with him in his palace, 6 strong boys and 6 girls. He arranged their marriages, 1 sister to each brother. They are always feasting there with their parents, at a banquet that never ends. We arrived at that fine citadel. He welcomed me and he agreed to help me, and gave me a bag of oxhide leather, and tied gusty winds inside it. Zeus, the son of Kronos, made him steward of the winds, and he can stop or rouse them as he wishes. He bound the bag with shining silver wire to my curved ship so no gust could escape, however small. For 9 days and nights we sailed, and on the 10th our native land appeared. We were so near we saw men tending fires. Exhausted, I let sweet sleep overcome me. I had been doing all the steering, hoping that we would get home sooner if I did. But while I slept, my men began to mutter, saying the great Aeolus gave me gifts, silver and gold, that I was taking home. With glances to his neighbor, each complained, "It seems that everybody loves this man and honors him in every place we sail to." He also has that loot from sacking Troy. We shared the journey with him, yet we come back home with empty hands, and now Aeolus has made this friendly gift to him. So hurry, we should look in the bag and see how much is in there, how much silver, how much gold. That bad idea took hold of them, and they did so. They opened up the bag, and all the winds rushed out at once. A sudden buffet seized us, and hurled us back to sea, the wrong direction, far from our home. They screamed, and I woke up, and wondered if I should simply jump off the ship and drown, or bite my lip, be stoic, and stay among the living. I endured it, covered my face, and lay on deck. A blast of storm winds whooshed the ships back to the island of great Aeolus. They began to weep. We disembarked and filled our jars with water, and hungrily the men devoured their dinner. When they were done, I took 1 slave with me, and 1 crew member, back to see Aeolus. He was at dinner with his wife and children. We entered and sat down beside the doorposts. Startled, they asked, "Why are you here again?" "You had bad luck," What happened? Surely we helped you go on your way and meant for you to reach your homeland where you wish to go. I answered sadly, Blame my men, and blame my stubborn urge to sleep which ruined us. Dear friends, you have the power to put things right. I hoped these words would soften them, but they were silent. Then the father yelled, Get out, you nasty creature! Leave my island, now! It is not right for me to help convey a man so deeply hated by the gods. You god-forsaken thing, how dare you come here? Get out! He roared and drove us from his palace. Dispirited, we sailed away. The men grew worn out with the agony of rowing. Our folly had deprived us of fair winds. We rode 6 days and nights. The 7th day we came to Lystragonia, the town of Telepylus, upon the cliffs of Lemos. We reached the famous harbor, all surrounded by sheer rock cliffs. On each side, strips of shore jut out and almost meet, a narrow mouth. No waves rear up in there, not even small ones. White calm is everywhere. So all the others harbored their ships inside, crammed close together. I was the only one who could choose to moor my ship outside the harbor, fastening the cables to a rock a way away. I disembarked and climbed a crag to scout. I saw no sign of cattle or of humans, except some smoke that rose from the earth. I picked 2 men and 1 slave as the third, and sent them to find out what people lived and ate bread in this land. They disembarked and walked along a smooth path. They met a girl in front of town, out fetching some water. She was the strapping child of Antiphates, king of the Lystragonians. They asked her of the king and people of the country. She promptly took them to the high-roofed palace of her own father. When they went inside, they found a woman, mountain high. They were appalled and shocked. The giantess at once summoned the king and her husband from the council. He tried to kill my men, and grabbing one, he ate him up. The other 2 escaped, back to the ship. The king's shout boomed through the town. Hearing the mighty Lystragonians thronged from all sides, not human-like, but giants. With boulders bigger than a man could lift, they pelted at us from the cliffs. We heard the dreadful uproar of ships being broken and dying men. While they were killing them inside the harbor, I drew out my sword and cut the ropes that moored my dark-cheeked ship. And yelling to my men, I told them, "Row as fast as possible, away from danger." They rowed at double time, afraid to die. My ship was lucky, and we reached the sea beyond the overhanging cliffs. The rest, trapped in the bay together, were destroyed. We sailed off sadly, happy to survive, but with our good friends lost. We reached Aea, home of the beautiful, dreadful goddess Searcy, who speaks in human languages. For 2 days and 2 nights we lay on shore, exhausted and our hearts consumed with grief. On the 3rd morning, brought by braided dawn, I took my spear and sharp sword and ran up from the ship to higher ground to look for signs of humans, listening for voices. I climbed up to a crag, and I saw smoke rising from Circe's palace, from the earth up through the woods and thickets. I considered if I should go down and investigate, since I had seen the smoke, but I decided to go back down first to the beach and ship and feed my men, and then set out to scout. I went down to my dock ship and told my men, "Listen to me, my friends. Despite your grief, we do not know where darkness lives, nor dawn, nor where the sun that shines upon the world goes underneath the earth, nor where it rises. We need a way to fix our current plight, but I do not know how. I climbed the rocks to higher ground to look around. This is an island, wreathed about by boundless sea. The land lies low. I saw smoke in the middle, rising up through the forest and thick brush." At that their hearts sank, since they all remembered what happened with the Lystragonians, their king Antiphates, and how the mighty Cyclops devoured the men. They wept and wailed and shed great floods of tears, but all that grieving could do no good. I made them wear their armor and split them into 2 groups. I led one and made Eurylochus command the other. So he went with his band of 22, all weeping. Those left behind with me were weeping as well. Inside the glade they found the house of Searcy, built out of polished stones on high foundations. Round it were mountain wolves and lions, which she tamed with drugs. They did not rush on them, but gathered around them in a friendly manner, their long tails wagging as dogs nuzzled their master. The men were terrified. They stood outside and heard some lovely singing. It was Searcy, the goddess. She was weaving as she sang, an intricate, enchanting piece of work, the kind a goddess fashions. Then Polites, my most devoted and loyal man, a leader to his peers, said, "Friends, inside someone is weaving on that massive loom and singing so the floor resounds. Perhaps a woman or a goddess. Let us call to her." They shouted out to her. She came at once, opened the shining doors, and asked them in. So, thinking nothing of it, they went. Eurylochus alone remained outside, suspecting trickery. She led them in, sat them on chairs, and blended them a potion of barley, cheese, golden honey, mixed with Pramnian wine. She added potent drugs to make them totally forget their home. They took and drank the mixture. Then she struck them using her magic wand and pinned them in the pigsty. They were turned to pigs in body and voice and hair. Their minds remained the same. They squealed at their imprisonment. Eurylochus ran back to our black ship to tell us of the terrible disaster that happened to his friends. Odysseus, we went off through the woods as you commanded. In the glade we found a beautiful, tall house of polished stone. We heard a voice, a woman or a goddess. She was singing as she worked her loom. My friends called out to her. She opened up the doors, inviting them inside. Suspecting nothing, they followed her, but I stayed there outside, fearing some trick. Then all at once they vanished. I sat there for a while to watch and wait, but none of them came back. At this I strapped my silver-studded sword across my back, took up my bow, and told him, "Take me there." He grasped my knees and begged me tearfully. "No, no, my lord. Please do not make me go. Let me stay here. You cannot bring them back, and you will not return here if you try." "Hurry, we must escape with these men here. We have a chance to save our lives." I said, "You can stay here beside the ship and eat and drink, but I will go. I must do this." I left the ship and shore and walked on up, crossing the sacred glades, and I had almost reached the great house of the enchantress Searcy when I met Hermes carrying his wand of gold. He seemed an adolescent boy, the cutest age, when beards first start to grow. He took my hand and said, "Why have you come across these hills alone? You do not know this place, poor man." "Your men were turned to pigs in Circe's house and crammed in pens. Do you imagine you can set them free? You cannot." "If you try that, you will not get back home. You will stay here with them." "But I can help you. Here, take this antidote to keep you safe when you go into Circe's house." "Now I will tell you all her lethal spells and tricks. She will make you a potion mixed with poison. Its magic will not work on you because you have the herb I gave you." When she strikes you with her long wand, then draw your sharpened sword and rush at her as if you mean to kill her. She will be frightened of you and tell you to sleep with her. Do not hold out against her. She is a goddess. If you sleep with her, you will set free your friends and save yourself. Tell her to swear an oath by all the gods that she will not plot further harm for you, or while you have your clothes off, she may hurt you, unmanning you. The bright mercurial god pulled from the ground a plant and showed me how its root is black, its flower white as milk. The gods call this plant Molly. It is hard for mortal men to dig it up, but gods are able to do everything. Then Hermes flew through the wooded island back towards high Mount Olympus. I went in the house of Searcy. My heart pounded as I walked. I stood there at the doorway, and I saw her, the lovely Searcy with her braided hair. I called. She heard and opened the doors, and asked me in. I followed nervously. She led me to a silver-studded chair, all finely crafted, with a footstool underneath. In a gold cup she mixed a drink for me, adding the drug, which she hoped to do me harm. I sipped it, but the magic did not work. She struck me with her wand and said, "Now go, out to the sty, and lie there with your men." But I drew my sharp sword from my thigh, and leapt at her as if I meant to kill her. She screamed and ducked beneath the sword, and grasped my knees, and wailed, asking me, "Who are you? Where is your city, and who are your parents? I am amazed that you could drink my potion and yet not be bewitched. No other man has drunk it and withstood the magic charm. But you are different. Your mind is not enchanted. You must be Odysseus, the man who can adapt to anything. Bright, flashing Hermes of the golden wand has often told me that you would sail here from Troy in your swift ship. Now sheathe your sword and come to bed with me. Through making love, we may begin to trust each other more." I answered, "Searcy, how can you command me to treat you gently when you turned my men to pigs, and you planning to play tricks in telling me to come to bed with you, so you can take my courage and my manhood when you have got me nude? I refuse to come to bed with you, unless you swear a mighty oath that you will not form plans to harm me any more." When I said that, at once she made the oath as I had asked. After we went to bed, she offered me a feast. But I said, "Searcy, no. What decent man would bear to taste his food or sip his wine before he saw his men with his own eyes and set them free? If you are so insistent on telling me to eat and drink, then free them, so I may see with my own eyes my crew of loyal men." So Searcy left the hall, holding her wand, and opened up the pigsty and drove them out, still looking like fat boars, large and full-grown. They stood in front of her. Majestic Lady Searcy walked among them, anointing each with some new drug. The potion had made thick hog hairs sprout out on their bodies.